here we have a simple perimeter question for number 8. Again, we got to ask ourselves, how do we get from here to here? This is the corresponding side, 6 to 12. How do we get there? We multiplied by 2. All right? And therefore, we can figure out all the other sides by multiplying by 2 as well. In this case, since this one is twice as big as this one, we can figure this one out. This is 4.5. Okay? And again, we multiplied by 2 here. This is 15. Because 7.5 times 2 is 15. So now we know all the sides. 6, 4.5, 7.5, 12, 9, and 15. So what is the perimeter of JKL? Well, we've got 12 plus 9, which is 21, plus 15, 36. The answer is C. Which statement accurately compares the areas of the two triangles above? Remember earlier we talked about if the ratio is 2, okay, this, remember, in order to get the area, you have to multiply 1/2 times the base times the height, okay? Which statement accurately compares the area of the two triangles above? JKL is half the area of GHI. No. The area of JKL is 2/3 the area of GHI. That's not true either. The area, and the best way to do this is just to go ahead and multiply it out. But we'll do that in just a second. But the answer to this is D. JKL is 4 times the area of GHI. And how we figure that out is we say 1/2 times 6 times 4.5. Same thing over here. 1/2 times 12 times 9. And we multiply all those out. One of these is 4 times. This one is 4 times as big as this one. And that is always the case with corresponding triangles. They're either going to be a scale factor. You're either going to go from one or the other. If they're similar, and one way or the other, you just figure out half of the base times the height, and then you figure out what the scale factor is there. In this case, it's going to be 4 times. How do we get from here to here? 9x equals 12. We're going to divide both sides by 9. In other words, to find our scale factor. That's going to give us with x equals 12 over 9. And that reduces down to 4 over 3. Now, in other words, we multiplied by 4/3. Well, let's change this to an a mixed number for right now. 3 will go into 4 once, with 1 left over. So in other words, we multiplied all these sides by 1 1/3. Well, the question is asking us, what is the length of side WX? Well, if we know that in order to get from here to there we have to multiply 1 1/3, we would just say 7.5 times 1 1/3. Now 7.5 is also the same as 7 1/2 times 1 1/3. These are where those fraction rules come in handy. This is also 15 over 2, because we multiplied 2 times 7 plus 1 is 2, times 4 over 3. Now we multiplied that out, but we also had it way over here. I think we just multiply. That'd be 60 over 6, which is 10. Therefore, this side here is 10 meters. Jenna created a rectangular poster. So let's go ahead and do that. Rectangular poster for a contest with a length of 24 inches and a width of 12 inches. She then used a photocopy machine to reduce the size of the original poster. If she used a scale of 1/2 factor to create the smaller poster, what was the area of the smaller poster? Well, let's go ahead and do our second one. Let's say 1/2. Well, 1/2 times 12 is 6. 1/2 times 12 is 1/2 times 24 is 12. Now it's asking us, be careful, it's not asking us perimeter, it's asking us the area. And in order to get the area, we have to multiply the base times the height, okay, which is 12 times 6. 72 square inches. Answer is B. Now I want to back up for just a second and take another look at this problem right here. This is something we have only gone over a little bit in class, but I want to go over it a little bit now. In order to find the area of any triangle, you must multiply 1/2 times the base times the height. And the reason for that, the logic behind that is, if I'm multiplying, I want to get the area of a rectangle, for example, I'd multiply the base times the height. In this case, it would be 12. Well, if I'm also doing a right triangle, which is right here, like so, isn't that basically half? We got 1/2 here, 1/2 here. Well, the same reason we do that is why we multiply 1/2 times the base times the height here. Okay? And in this case earlier, we were talking about 1/2 the base times the height for this one, and 1/2 the base times the height for that one. So what I would suggest you do is say 1/2, multiply the base times the height, and then multiply that by 1/2. So, in other words, to find the one for this one, you multiply 6 times 4.5. Excuse me. So it's going to be 27 times 1/2, which is 13.5 for this one right here. And you have to forgive my handwriting here. Then you also have 1/2 times 12 times 9. 12 times 9, 8, 1. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 10 is 10. Alright, that multiplied by 1/2 is going to be 54. And you can see we have 13.5 to 54. And that is 1/4 of, in other words, 13.5 times 4 is 54. And that's where we get the answer here. Now, if you need more, I know I probably haven't explained that the best in the world, but if you need more help with that, be sure and ask me, and I'm also going to go over that in class. All right, and there's your study guide. Not only that, but the additional stuff that you had last week. So we're going to be having a quiz on what we just taught you here today in these last 3 videos, plus what we did last week. So it's basically going to be the last 6 videos on the website.